Welcome to my spoiler review of Wonder Woman 2017's superhero classic and what might end up being the best, or at least easily top 3 comic book movies or superhero movies of 2017. And so far, in my opinion, this is the best DC Extended Universe or DC Cinematic Universe film that we've gotten so far. This is the best one. Now, this is going to be my spoiler review. If you have not seen the movie yet, head on over to Geekdom 101, my original channel, which I'll leave a link to down below for you to check out the non-spoiler review of Wonder Woman. I'm not going to get into any spoilers in that video. On this video, though, we're going to talk spoilers about what I liked and did not like about Wonder Woman and where the story can go from here. Now, I do advise you to check out the non-spoiler review anyways, even if you have already seen the movie, because I get into some of the technical aspects of the directing and the structure of the story and things like that. With this review, I'm going to focus more on actual story elements and things I didn't want to talk about over there. You know, on that review, I talked more about sort of like how Patty Jenkins directed the movie and structured it and made it kind of old school compared to Superman and whatnot. Here, I want to talk about some of the specific things that were done that I liked and did not like. First of all, Gal Gadot. I absolutely love her in every way. I find it hard to believe that you could watch this movie and leave the theater and not have a little bit of a crush on her, because she's so amazing. She's gorgeous in every scene that she's in. She is tremendous fish out of water acting here. I said in my review, I compared her to sort of the Little Mermaid sequence with Ariel going to the mainland with the prince. Very, very similar stuff here. She didn't understand civilization, secretaries. She didn't understand why people dress up for fashion versus for war. You know, her entire life has been training to be this warrior to protect the earth from evil. She doesn't know that people actually have regular lives that aren't always worried about war. I really like the mythology behind the movie. I like how early in the film they establish who the villain is, and you don't know that Ares is actually going to be in the movie. You kind of see Ares as being this sort of allegorical character, maybe somebody who is not going to be in this one, maybe in a sequel. Like, I didn't think they were actually going to have Ares appear later in the film. And I'll be honest, I mean, one of my criticisms of this movie is that I thought that the Ares reveal was kind of disappointing because I thought it didn't really have enough clues. And the thing is, when you're going to have like a twist later in the movie, I feel like the twist should be, I think, hinted at a little bit more than normal. Maybe not give it totally away, but give you enough. And to me, it just kind of felt like it came out of nowhere. Like, that's honestly how I feel. I know some folks won't agree with that, but that's how I felt about that twist. Sir Patrick being revealed, I thought was just kind of, it could have been done better. But I do love that actor, though. David Thewlis, I think, did a really good job. Is it Thewlis or Thewlis? I've seen him in a bunch of movies like Kingdom of Heaven, and he was in Naked. He was also Remus in the Harry Potter movies. That's where everybody's going to remember him from. I thought he was fantastic here in this movie as the villain, but I thought, again, the reveal was a little bit But I like the mythology, though. I like that it followed the story of her being Zeus's daughter but not realizing it. That was pretty cool, and it was kind of like a twisted up version of Greek mythology, and I thought it went pretty well. And I like I said in my non-spoiler review, I like the fact that the origin stuff didn't take up a lot of the movie. I actually enjoyed that very much, and I like the training as well. I like how she is, you know, a demigod. She doesn't realize how strong she is at that time, but I like the fact that at the beginning of the movie, she's just like anybody else, like any other hero. She has to train to get better. She has to train to get better, and she did. I mean, she did train, and as the film progressed, she did get better and better, but most of the training stuff was early in the movie. In the non-spoiler review, I also criticized the use of slow motion. I thought they did it way too much. It wasn't quite as annoying as in the Transformers movies, but they did it way too much in this one. The constant, like, it just pissed me off. But seeing Diana kick all kinds of ass with the lasso, I know some folks did not like the lasso. I thought the lasso was awesome, dude. I thought she went in there and just destroyed dudes. My favorite scene would have to be when they catapulted her up into that cathedral clock thing, and she just destroyed the entire thing with her body, dude. Then at the end of the movie, she picks up a freaking a tank, bro. She picks up a tank and lunges it. Like, she's super freaking powerful, and they did it pretty well there. Like I said earlier, I really like the fish out of water humor, but also I like these subtle sex jokes they had in this movie. There's, of course, the scene where Chris Pine, who played Steve Trevor, he gets out of the water, like, jacuzzi thing on the island, and she looks down. They're trying to tell you that she's looking at his penis, but it's actually his watch. And he's like, yeah, I'm above average. That was all really good stuff. And they were on the boat together talking about sex. I thought that was pretty good. And I was so jealous of him because he got to screw around with Gal Gadot, bro. She's very, 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 that's a good-looking woman. She's very, very gorgeous. And it's funny about Gal Gadot, I want to say this. You know, people were criticizing her as a choice because she's very, very thin and lean, and Wonder Woman's supposed to be kind of a bigger girl as far as, like, Amazonian. That's where the whole kind of phrase came from. More muscular, but still kind of not like bodybuilder muscular, but kind of like in the middle. Very hard to cast Wonder Woman so that she can be exactly like her comic book counterpart, because that character is so hard to find in a real life person. But the thing about Gal is that she's very, very fit, and she's very good at her role, to where her acting, which a lot of folks didn't think she could pull off, her acting convinced you that she was a badass. I mean, the faces she would make, she was vulnerable, but she was still strong. She was a beaten person at times, but she still realized that she was a heroine that needed to do the right thing. The one thing about Chris Pine's character that I thought needed a little bit of work is that he came off like somewhat charming, but not overly charming. This is not like, you know, when he was Captain Kirk. But I thought that he was almost too serious at times, and I kind of wanted him to lighten up a little bit. There were even times when she was, you know, Diana was kind of being a little more goofy than he was, and I always felt that he should have been a tiny, tiny bit more goofy. And I like how the love story here was very organic. It wasn't like he was seducing her or she was seducing him. It wasn't like that at all. It was just like a mutual attraction. But, I mean, you can't blame the dude, right? You know, like I said, she's very, very gorgeous, and she saved his life a bunch of times. So, I mean, if someone saves your life enough times, you're bound to like them a little bit, right? Especially if it's a very pretty girl. And I loved the scene where they go to no man's land, and you can tell that, like, this gave me goosebumps. You can tell they're setting this up to be, okay, no man's land, but I'm not a man, I'm a woman. And they tell her, you can't cross, there's a bunch of Germans with machine guns, and then she's like, well, you know what, I'm going to. And she lets her hair down, you see the little tiara thing, and she gets up and just deflects all these freaking bullets. Amazing. I love the scene. Like, she literally like pushed back the front line to get to the other side. I thought that was just incredibly well done as well. And I like how, you know, again, I talked about it earlier, the reveal of Ares was a little bit weak, but I like how the movie did end with a big battle between gods. Like, that was pretty cool. You know, seeing, you know, Wonder Woman, Diana versus Ares, I thought was pretty damn cool. I was wondering how she was going to get the power to actually defeat him, but she is the daughter of Zeus. Then again, all the gods are, you know, children of Zeus, including Ares, and she had to charge up her power and nail him with a big one to take him out. But the whole moral of the story is that there is no evil within men that's caused by one deity or one entity. Sometimes there's just going to be bad people, you know, and that's a great theme in the movie, is that there's going to be bad people, but there's always going to be good people there to create balance. And we're seeing that a lot with films lately, especially with the rumors about Star Wars Episode 8 and the direction they're going in that movie. You know, I like that it wasn't just a central evil. It was, she thought her whole life, her entire life, if she was a kid, she thought that the reason people are bad is because of Ares. And the reality is, no, people are just bad people, and I really like that. You know, there are bad people in this world, and that's the truth. I mean, I feel that way. I know a lot of folks are kind of young and naive, and they think that everybody in the world has a good side, and I would like to believe that most people on Earth are good people, but there are bad people that like to do bad things, and, you know, they do it for various reasons, a lot of them being selfish. You know, the movie hammered that home. I like that. Now, it's interesting how they portrayed Princess Maru, otherwise known as Marina Maru. She was not a princess in this movie. Dr. Poison. In the original comics, if I remember correctly, it's been a while, the original Maru was actually during World War II, where she was, you know, doing the poisonous stuff. And in this movie, of course, it takes place during World War I, the majority of it, they kind of moved her back into that, but it made sense. She's developing this gas that could just destroy everything and wipe you out, this poisonous gas. I just kind of felt like the character was just kind of there. Like, she was not the main villain of the movie. She wasn't even like the secondary villain. She was a main villain, but they didn't do much with her. She was just kind of the secret scientist that wound up at the end being shown some mercy, and that was kind of the whole story. You know, there wasn't too much to it, you know, when it came to her character. So honestly, I just really didn't care, you know, about Dr. Poison at all. In fact, you know, again, I cited in my non-spoiler, I think one of the problems with both DC and Marvel is that I don't think they know how to handle their villains that well. They just don't portray them as good as they should. You know, the villains from, like, the Captain America movies I thought were pretty cool. All of them. And I did really like Ultron a little bit, even though he didn't capture the comic book version anywhere close to the way I wanted him to. But a lot of the other villains just seem to be kind of, well, disappointments. You know, Apocalypse was kind of a letdown. Yeah, Lex Luthor, didn't even get me started on that one. That was atrocious. The villains from the Thor movies I thought were pretty weak. That was kind of dumb. I liked the Abomination from the Hulk movie, but I just feel like that's their weakest link, is the villains have not really been hitting home the way they should. Ronan the Accuser I thought was also kind of one-dimensional. You know, it's just they got to work on getting a really good, really solid villain. And I think they have something with Mordo and Doctor Strange. They got something with him. I think he might end up being a good villain. And, of course, in Civil War, I love that villain. And Thanos, of course, going to be the big, big bad in the Marvel Universe. Over here in DC, I mean, in Suicide Squad, it was just felt like it was a waste. And then in this movie, they were okay, but really the story was about the story of this movie was about Wonder Woman and about Steve and how they grew, you know, together with their brief time, and how they learned from each other, and how, you know, they learned to trust each other. And at the end of the movie, of course, again, this is a spoiler review, he sacrifices his life to save everybody. So he, in turn, a mortal, did something so freaking noble and so selfless. And the guy throughout the film always came off like someone who wanted to do the right thing, disobeying orders, both him and Diana. So you see them kind of coming together because they're kindred spirits. They want to do the right thing even though they're superiors. In one case, it's Diana's mother. In the other case, it's the superior officer of Steve. You know, they come together and they know they have to do the right thing even if it's against what their leaders say, and they still go out there and do it and show an incredible amount of bravery. And I think in some ways his character may be more brave than hers because he's a mortal. She's got power. She's not afraid of bullets. A bullet will take him out, and he still went out there and fought even though he was just a spy. He wasn't even like a really part of infantry. So I like that a lot about that character. I really did. I think what really carried this movie was the charisma of Gal Gadot. Like, when I think about the movie, it's like I think that she's the one that really made this movie watchable, because she could have stunk up this movie. If she was a bad actress, if she was lackluster, if she was just a model like some people said, this movie could have blown chunks. I mean, for real. But the fact that she actually performed this role so good. She was brave at the right times. She had great facials, like the way her eyes were. You know, this is a legit good a great performance. This is a great performance from an actress who I don't think is known or respected as an actress by a lot of people, and I hope that now she is. I really hope that now she is. I mean, the movie just felt so good. You know, the music was also amazing. Every time that they bumped that, like, that was so awesome, man. Wonder Woman was such a kick-ass movie, bro. I so loved this freaking movie. Like, man, like, everything about this movie, like I said, very small criticisms aside, it was well constructed. It told a great story, and it had characters that we actually gave a crap about. Like, at the beginning of the film, when the World War I guys show up on the island, they kill the women, you actually feel for them. Like, in the movie, when she gets on that horse and she's ready to go kick some ass, like, you actually root for her no matter what gender you are. Unless you're a sexist piece of shit, you actually cheer for her, dude. You actually want her to succeed. And like I said in my non-spoiler review about the movie, it doesn't push the SJW agenda. I know a lot of folks thought it was going to. I've seen a lot of people comment on that, and that's completely incorrect. The genders were totally equal. She is a kick-ass character, regardless of whether she's a male, female. I mean, she is a female, obviously, but I'm saying it doesn't matter. The story, and the characters, which is the most important thing about a film, a story, were great. And I can't wait to see more. Obviously, this movie is a prequel of sorts. It actually begins during, like, the middle of Batman v Superman, and then it goes into like a flashback of her in World War I telling the entire story. Actually, it goes even further back because the movie goes back to when she was a kid on the island and then later on into the World War I time. So, you know, it is a prequel, but it's such a great like coming of age story, I thought. It's a good coming of age / you know, fish out of water story. I love this movie and I kind of want to go see it again. You should do the same thing. It just shows that filmmaking can go back to an old school style of focusing on characters and story and not gimmicks and still be pleasing and still be great. But again, a big plus of this film has to go out to the performers, to Gal Gadot, and to director Patty Jenkins because they came together to make this movie amazing. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Did you love Wonder Woman? What do you think should be better? Do you want a sequel? Because I do. I want more of this character. I left the movie theater wanting more Wonder Woman. Whether it be in Justice League, whether it be in Wonder Woman 2, I want to see more from her on the big screen. Thank you, as always, for supporting World of Geekdom. Check out Geekdom 101 if you have not, my Dragon Ball / anime channel. I have the non-spoiler review on there. Give your thoughts down below on this film, and we'll talk about it. Thank you. Talk to you guys there.